Hey, Federated family, it's Tuesday, April 7th, and I have a devotion for you with two readings today. The first is from Mark chapter 6. Wherever Jesus went, into villages, towns, or the countryside, people placed the sick in the marketplaces, and they begged Jesus to let them touch even the edge of his cloak, and all who touched it were healed. And from Luke chapter 6. Jesus went down with the disciples and stood on a level place. And a large crowd was there, and a great number of people from all over Judea, from Jerusalem, and from the coastal regions around Tyre and Sidon, who had come to hear Jesus and to be healed of their diseases. Those troubled by impure spirits were cured, and the people all tried to touch him, because power was coming from him and healing them all. These passages tell us that Jesus has incredible power in his fingertips. He could heal people simply by touching them. The Gospels are filled with stories of Jesus healing the sick with a touch. There are lots of stories of Jesus encountering people who are blind, and he touches them and they're healed. In Matthew 20 and John 9, and in Mark 8, Jesus meets a blind man and he spits and makes some mud and spreads it on the man's eyes, and he is healed. There's Jairus, who is a leader of the synagogue. He had a daughter who was sick, and in fact, she died. And Jesus takes the little girl by the hand, touches her, and she's brought back to life in Mark 5. Jesus meets people with skin diseases and touches them and heals them. There's a man who was born deaf and mute, and Jesus touches his ears and his mouth, and he is healed. There's the woman who was bleeding for 12 years, and she just touched the hem of Jesus' garment, and she's healed. And there's the servant of the high priest. One of the disciples cuts his ear off, and Jesus touches it, and he's healed. This healing power of Jesus is amazing. We call it miraculous because we can't do it. But Jesus' healing power is not limited to those people he can touch. The Gospels also tell us that Jesus sometimes healed people without touching them. Jesus encountered a man from Gerasene who had a demon, and he commands the demons to go into the pigs, and the man is healed. There's the man who was lowered through the roof by 4 of his friends because they couldn't get through the crowd to Jesus. And Jesus sees their faith, and he says, "By your faith you are forgiven and healed." There was the centurion who had a servant, and he told Jesus, "You don't even have to come. I know that you have the power just by saying it to heal him." And Jesus does. He says, "Be healed," and the man is healed. Jesus had a friend named Lazarus who died. And Jesus stands outside his tomb and says, "Lazarus, come out," and Lazarus is brought back to life. There's a man who was lame, who laid by the pool in Bethsaida, and Jesus simply commands him to pick up his mat and walk, and the man can walk. The importance of touch can't be overstated, but we have to remember that Jesus has the power to heal whether he touches or not. Being touched is part of human nature. We're tactile people. We like to touch each other. We like to be in contact. And culturally, it's the custom for us to touch, to shake hands, to fist bump, to hug each other, to give high fives. Human beings have a deep-seated need to reach out and touch. But touch has become a very dangerous practice for us. The simplest contact can transfer the coronavirus. So we're under orders not to touch one another unless it's absolutely necessary, and to wash our hands frequently to minimize the risk of a touch transferring the disease. So we still have to take those precautions. Self-quarantine, wash our hands. But as we do that, we can't lose the knowledge that we have or the trust that we have that Jesus is greater than this pandemic, that Jesus heals, that he is the great physician, that Jesus is greater than COVID-19. He has the power to make us whole again in body, mind, and spirit. He can heal with a touch, and he can heal without touch. And this is truly good news. So blessings, my friends, and be safe, and I will see you soon.
What a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the What a blessedness, what a peace is mine, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning on the everlasting arms. Oh, how sweet to walk in this pilgrim's way, leaning on the everlasting arms. Oh, how bright the path grows from day to day, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning on the everlasting arms. What have I to dread? What have I to fear? Leaning on the everlasting arms. I have blessed peace with my Lord so near, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning.